Good afternoon. We're going to give a couple of minutes for folks to get into the webinar before we get started. Thanks to those of you that are joining us. If you just going to give it another minute or so folks can get in. Okay, good afternoon. We're going to get ready to get started. Good afternoon, everyone. We want to thank you for joining us today for our webinar regarding Hope Leaders. And this webinar is specifically for our cancer biologists to learn more about this opportunity. So thank you all for joining us this afternoon. My name is Deidre Reese. I am the director for the Office of Community Engagement and Health Equity here at the Cancer Center, and really excited to get this opportunity and share it with you. You'll have the opportunity today to learn more about the opportunity from those of us at the Cancer Center, as well as from some folks that have participated in the Hope Leaders program. Next slide. So just want to welcome everybody. I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with the Cancer Center, but wanted to share our mission. Our mission is to provide innovative care designed to eliminate cancer health inequities by elevating the voices of our diverse communities as stakeholders in discovery, education, and provision of care. And specifically for the Office of Community Engagement and Health Equity, our role really is to connect communities and scientists so that our communities learn and understand more about what's happening at the bench, and for our bench scientists to understand more about communities and how they can work more collaboratively with them for around hypotheses and coming up with the science that we do here at the Cancer Center. Next slide. Our agenda for today, I'm going to spend a little time talking about what exactly is the Hope Leaders program and what is Hope Leaders, what is that all about. We'll have some testimonials from some of our current Hope Leaders, and then we'll get into the technical aspects of the presentation regarding where to find the application, how you can apply, examples of successful applications, and opportunities for questions and answers. And so we'll ask toward the end for folks to put their questions and answers in the Q&A, and we'll have some time to kind of walk through questions that you may have about this opportunity. This is just a quick picture of our community engagement and health equity team. These are some of our team members. We work with community-based organizations throughout our catchment area, which is all of Cook County. And we really try to spread the word in order to get community members involved and a better understanding of cancer, cancer care, cancer screening, cancer prevention, and cancer treatment. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Joseph Dufresne, and he'll tell you a little bit more about what Hope Leaders is all about.
Thank you, Deidre, our director for the office of the CE office. Thank you so much for that introduction. The CE office works to facilitate, encourage, and support many kinds of community engagement for our clinical and basic researchers at the Cancer Center. The Hope Leaders program is specifically built to build relationships between basic cancer researchers and the community. The program helps to teach community members what the potential of basic research can be, while also teaching basic researchers how to approach community and have community support our work at the bench. Next slide, please. So why participate in the Hope Leaders program? So besides the fact that our Cancer Center has a mission to make our cancer work, both clinical and basic research, relevant to our catchment area. The NIH itself recently had a new director. The old director of NCI took over as the head of the NIH, Monica Bertinelli, I believe is how you pronounce her name, and she stated specifically that the NIH is going to commit to promoting and funding novel alternative methods of basic research and cancer research. Novel alternative methods include both computational modeling and predictive technologies, but most importantly for what we're talking about here, includes cell-free methods as well as cell-based culture models, instead of and moving away from necessarily mouse modeling. Right? So this is important. Connecting to the community is required for these kind of studies. Studies that require either cellular samples, blood samples, relevant studies to the community. We need connection to the community, and the Hope Leaders program is one of the ways the CHE office manages and promotes that. Next slide, please. So ultimately, the goal is to build authentic community academic partnerships that shift lab science and create new avenues to establish cancer health equity, first here in Cook County, but we hope this will be a model that can be scaled up and become a nationwide program. The Hope Leaders program, the inaugural year of the Hope Leaders program was 2023, and we had some very talented labs compete. One of our shining stars, Alexa Gaja, in the lab, she's here today, and she's taking time out of her research schedule to describe her experiences and talk to you guys about the Hope Leaders program and how it's helped, what it's done for her, and whatever else you would like to share. Go ahead, Alexa. Thank you.
So first of all, thank you everyone for having me here today. I'm really happy to talk about my experiences with the Hope Leaders program. So really briefly going into it, I think myself and Emra, who is my PI, we really weren't sure what to expect out of this whole experience, but overall it's been really great, especially for me as a trainee. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm currently a fourth-year PhD student in Dr. Emra Ayer's lab. And so I'm essentially a basic bench scientist. I really didn't have too much, I guess, interactions with the community prior to actually joining the Hope Leaders program. But once we were paired with our community partners, Equal Hope, they invited me to multiple events so far, and we still are working on other events that we're going to be going to and putting on. But basically, I was able to actually talk to community members, talk to cancer patients and survivors, and kind of just hear their stories and see what their concerns are. Because I think a lot of times we kind of lose focus as to what our goal is as scientists, especially in the cancer field. A lot of times we're working at the bench and we're like, why isn't this experiment working out? And there's a lot of frustration, but having that connection with the community really opened up my eyes as to why we're doing the work that we're doing. This is not, the work that we're doing ultimately is not just to benefit scientists, but it's to benefit the community as a whole. And so it's just really nice to have that connection and actually be able to share some of the work that we've been doing, and kind of just get a better understanding as to where the community's knowledge is at. And it also helps us to better gauge how we should present our work to those people. Because it's very different speaking to members of the cancer field that are in your specific niche versus speaking to an audience that has absolutely no idea what is going on with the nitty-gritty details of the work that we do. So I think especially as a trainee, being so early on in my career, it's been really beneficial to see what the community wants from us as researchers and what we can provide for them. How can we explain things better for them? So I think it's been just really eye-opening. I definitely encourage all of you to apply and especially get your trainees involved, because ultimately we are the next generation and it's kind of on us to start to guide research towards where it honestly should have been, where the community is actually kind of taking the wheel in a sense, and showing us what they actually would like to see ultimately. I think that's kind of it.
Thank you, Alexa. That was wonderful. And now our director, Deidre, is going to continue and help us understand where to find the application and how to apply.
So thank you, Alexa, for sharing your experience with us. So let's move into some more of the technical aspects about the Hope Leaders Program. So who can apply? University of Illinois Cancer Center members are open to apply. The PI cannot be a director, director level or above. And what I really would like to stress is that PIs with less than 2 years experience in community engagement are encouraged to apply. So if you have not had experience with community engagement, maybe this is a new area for you. Perhaps this is something you haven't done before or don't really know much about. This is you're the people that we're looking for. So if you are one of those folks, we really want to encourage you to apply. If you have more than 2 years experience, that's okay, but we also really want to encourage those that maybe have not thought about working with community-based organizations or haven't really worked with a community-based organization, or maybe it's never come up in terms of your work. We really would like to encourage you to apply. And we try to, as best we can, based on feedback from our current cohort, really try to make the application process as smooth and easy as possible in order to encourage more people to apply. The award is $30,000 over 2 years, of which you receive $20,000 in the first year and then $10,000 in the second year. And that second year is contingent upon completing the work from the first year. Then award funds must be used on the proposed project. So we do ask for a budget in terms of where the funds will go in terms of your project. And so just want to make sure that you know that the funds need to be allocated for this project. Oftentimes people have projects that they're already working on and they'll use that as part of what they're using as part of Hope Leaders, but we just want to make sure you understand that you need to be able to show how those funds will be used for this project. Where can you find the application? So I wanted to just stress that you can find the application on the Cancer Center website. The link is here for the Cancer Center website. If you go to our website, if you don't have the link, if you go to University of Illinois Cancer Center website, if you even do a search for Hope Leaders, the page will come up with the application. I just would encourage you to make sure that you're looking at the correct application. Please note there are 2 applications. There's an application for community partners, and there's an application for cancer biologists. So just make sure that you have the application for cancer biologists. And then also, here's a direct link to our red cap that includes the application. Both of these links eventually will get you to the same spot, but we wanted you to be clear as to where you can find the application. The request for application that details what we're looking for, the criteria, the questions, all of that is embedded within the red cap, and we'll show you where that is. So here, if you go to our website, this is what it will look like. Become a Hope Leader. It has all the information here. As you can see down at the bottom where it says application details are available here. If you click there, that's when you will get to our REDCap link to the application. Now, the application. So when you click on that link, this is what the application looks like. Make sure that your application says 2024 Hope Leaders Training Award for Cancer Biologists. If it says community partner, you're in the wrong link. So just make sure if you're looking for the biologist application that it does say cancer biologist. And if you look at the very top where the arrow is showing you, this is where our request for application link is. It's a Word document. You can download that document and it lays out the entire application, what's needed. Many of the questions that you may have are probably somewhere in this document. So just wanted to point it out that when you go into the application, you want to click here to get the request for application. Also, please note our application deadline is April 30th, 2024, and this is a 2-year project, June 2024 through May 31st, 2026. This is the RFA. So once you click that Word document that I talked about downloading, this is what the RFA looks like, or request for application looks like. And as you can see, it goes through what the award is, the deadlines and all of that. And there are 5 full pages here that outline this opportunity and everything you need to do step by step. So consider this as sort of the guide to go through the application. The application is divided into 3 sections. The first section is really demographic information about the PI and the trainee. That's section 1. Section 2 is your narrative to talk about your project and identifying your key personnel, their bio sketches or CV. And then the third part is the budget justification. So this is what section 1 is about. These are all of the things that you will need to answer the questions for section 1. And this is laid out just like this in the request for applications. And this is basically the demographics. Who are you? Who's applying? That information is what is in section 1. Section 2, and this is where the meat of your application is. This is your narrative. And for your narrative, you want to lay out what you're studying. We want this to be about a half a page written. Your project that you propose needs to be completed within 18 months. Describe the potential impact of the study on cancer health disparities, as well as within our catchment area. That's a 1/4 page. And to describe how to improve community engagement skills, how improved community engagement skills will enrich the careers of basic cancer researchers. Now, you heard from Alexa, who has been working on this over the past year. In essence, if I could summarize what happens in Hope Leaders is the scientists, we match you, the scientists, with the community-based organization that has also gone through a competitive process, and you all work together. You're teamed up. The scientists will spend some time in community, and that's between you and that community-based organizations to figure out what that looks like. And then the community will spend some time with you all in the lab. And together, you'll work together on how you can share this information with the community. And so that's the overall Hope Leaders project. The gist of your application is right here, though, in section 2, the narrative. What is the project that you are proposing to work with the community-based organization? What does that look like? Spell that out to us. Help us understand what the study is that you're doing, or what your research question is, and how you can engage the community around that research question. So I would encourage you to really take your time with section 2. The information that's asked for is brief, So you need to be able to succinctly put together what exactly your project will be related to Hope Leaders. The other part of section 2 is we're asking for a bio sketch or CV for the trainee, as well as a bio sketch for the PI or co-PIs. And then lastly, there's section 3. This is your budget, salary and wages, research supplies, indirect costs capped at 10%. So the total amount that you can be awarded is $30,000. That includes indirect costs. So your capped indirect costs would be $3,000. So your full budget should not go over $30,000. Now, I also want you to be aware, just as I showed you earlier, that you can find the request for application at the top of the red cap. There's a link there. For the budget justification, the budget and the instruction is located at the bottom of the application. It's the last question, is question 13. And there's a link at the bottom where it will show you where you can pull down the budget justification so that you can lay out your budget. And so the arrow at the top, as you can see, as I stated before, at question 13, you'll see there's an attachment there. You need to download that attachment. And from that attachment, you'll pull down the budget instructions and the budget template. It includes in there all of the instructions related to the budget, what it covers. It defines each of those items that you can put into the budget. And when you're done, please note the green upload file on the right. You want to upload that to your application. Section 3, again, budget, permitted expenses. This is all laid out in the request for applications. Things such as research supplies, shared resources with the Cancer Center, staff and trainee salaries, software, rental of space for events with prior approval. Things that are not permitted is equipment or equipment maintenance, textbooks, periodicals or subscriptions, membership dues, rental for anything but approved events, recruiting, relocation, construction or maintenance, and travel. And this is what the budget template looks like, where you can lay out salaries, wages, research supplies, etc. Laying out the details of the staff that will be participating, any research supplies you can use, anything other that doesn't fall into those categories, and then your indirect costs. And remember, indirect costs are capped at 10%. Funding priorities, not requirements. And so I want to take some time to talk about, in terms of our office, the Office of Community Engagement and Health Equity, we have priorities in terms of populations that we are really trying to serve within our catchment area. And so here you'll see some of our funding priorities. These are not requirements, these are priorities. So as you're writing your proposals, you can think about, how does what I'm writing, how does any of these priorities, how does it relate to what I'm proposing to do? So we really want to encourage projects that foster inter or intra-programmatic collaboration among different labs, projects that use UI Cancer Center shared resources, our data, etc. Projects that support trainees from Cook County or underrepresented groups. Projects that address Cancer Center priority cancers, breast, prostate, lung, colorectal, and liver. Projects that focus on Black and or Latino populations. PIs with less than 2 years community engagement experience. Projects that include long-term plans to publish or seek funding with a community stakeholder. So while these are our priorities, these are not a requirement, but these are some of the things that we would like to see. We recognize that no one lab will probably check out all of these boxes, but we want you to understand in terms of priorities, these are some of the types of things we would like to see or see that folks address. If you are not able to address any of these things, it does not mean that you don't have a good proposal and that your proposal would not be funded. So I just want to encourage folks that these are sort of kind of like a guideline to kind of let you understand things that are important to our office in terms of priorities. But if you are not able to hit these, we still would encourage you to apply. And then in terms of how programs or projects will be evaluated, there is a scaling system, and all of this is also listed in the request for applications. And the scale is from 1 to 5 for each of those things that I talked about in the narrative. We'll be looking at relevance, how relevant is it? Equity, does it address equity in any way? Growth potential and overall impact. Those terms are defined within the request for application. Each section of the application, each section for relevance, equity, growth potential, and overall impact, it shows you in the RFA the scale in terms of what 1 to 5 means. And the lower the score, the more competitive the application is, because 1 is the most impactful and 5 is the least impactful. But you'll see in the RFA the exact scale for each one of those things. So we definitely want you to be mindful of that as you're putting together your application. And this kind of lays out what each of those things means. Relevant, does the project address cancer biology specific aims and cancer center priorities at large? The equity potential, will it address disparities? Growth potential, will the project lead to a potential grant application? Is this something that we can start now and then maybe build even bigger and look for further funding? And then overall impact, does the project promote community engaged cancer research?
So I'm gonna go ahead and after thank you, Deidre. Thank you for laying that out. And I just wanted to describe a successful application that we got last year. So in this particular application, the PI wanted to look at how neuroblastoma's development is restricted in the anterior versus posterior portion of a zebrafish embryo, representing restriction of neuroblastoma growth in the human. So they made a zebrafish model to show that neuroblastoma need to be in a particular portion of the body to grow, and if they move to the posterior portion where the brain was, the neuroblastoma would differentiate or apoptosize. So first of all, the project built on the lab strength. So the lab had already published using human xenografts that when you take human derived neuroblastoma and put into the zebrafish model, they were able to show that there was restriction of neuroblastoma growth in the zebrafish model of the xenografts. But for this project, they proposed to actually take neuroCrest cells and I believe zebrafish neuroCrest cells and actually express NMYC and mutated anaplastic leukemia kinase, or ALK, to recreate neuroblastoma in zebrafish cells to make neuroblastoma-like cells, and then you do the exact same, use the exact same model. And hopefully what they expected to see was that the zebrafish neuroCrest cells or the neuroblastoma-like zebrafish cells would end up having the same restriction, right? Restricting anterior and growth in the posterior. So, but basically, it was a project based on their strengths already. Second, their trainee was a strong student, a very capable student who came from an underrepresented group in research. Because of the fact that the project built on the strength of the lab and that the zebrafish modeling system was already set up, it was very feasible for the project to be done within 18 months for this lab. So the project was rigorous science, molecularly sound, but it was able to be done in 8 months. And like I said, because it built on this existing strength of the laboratory. And finally, one of the things that really helped this particular application get over the really shine, excuse me, not get over, I think actually did very well for it to shine, was that the PI was very clear in the application how the dissemination of basic research would be beneficial to the community and also to research. So they of course they pointed out that neuroblastoma was a common cancer, and it can be treated, but they also made it clear that the dissemination of that work from this project, how it could be helpful to the community specifically, and also to the laboratory, the training and the growth of the lab. So, it did very well. And, these are the kind of things that the CHE office will be looking for. I mean, remember also that that there will also be cancer biologists, not just community stakeholders, looking at these applications. So, rigorous science, of course, is always appreciated, of course, but also we really want to know that this rigorous science is going to be of direct use to communities. Okay, I think that next is questions, and I think Deidre and I will take any questions that are in the Q&A. So let me go ahead and start, and I'll read the first question. Of course, Deidre, please jump in because you probably know the answer more than I do. So Maureen McCoy asks, hello, thanks for hosting this. As a potential applicant from UIC's Rockford location, what is the possibility that we could be matched with an organization in the Rockford community? So Deidre, can you?
So we really have been looking at organizations in the Cook County area, but we are excited about the idea that you would like to apply. And so I'd have to get back to you on if that would actually be a possibility. Other questions?
So questions can either be about the cancer biology, so the science itself, or the application process, or the communication, community linkage, please. And also we like to also point out that the application itself, like the application is about a page and a half, right, Deidre?
Mm-hmm.
About a page and a half. So
I also wanted to address if anyone is on, because I think someone said they were on from a community-based organization. So on Tuesday, February 13th, we held a call similar to this for community-based organizations. And today's call was specifically around for our cancer biologists. However, even if you missed the call on Tuesday, you are still eligible to apply. We will be posting these the video of the webinars on our website. So you will be able to go on our website to review them. The same for biologists. If there are other scientists that may be interested that were unable to make today's webinar, you will be able to go on our website, view the webinar in order to get the information that you may, or get questions addressed. So it is open. So whether you attended the webinar or not, you will be able to assess the webinar afterwards. Oh, this is a good question. What sorts of interactions will we have with the community organizations? would they like to see some demos in the lab? I wish Alexa was still here, but yes, that's exactly what happened with this year's cohort. They went to the lab, learned about the projects that these scientists were doing. They did some demos with them. A couple of demos were over time, so they had to go one day and then they had to come back another day to kind of see what happened. But these are the types of things that we would have. We, the Cancer Center staff, our team meets with both the scientists and the community-based organizations about quarterly, where we all come together to talk about what has happened over the last quarter. They've shared pictures with us. We've also had interactions where the community-based organizations took the scientists with them to an event, sometimes a community event, to kind of learn how they do what they do. We've also had it where scientists have done a community tour with the community-based organizations. So each has spent time in each other's spaces. However, the org and as you're building that relationship over time, you determine what that looks like for you. So I hope I answered your question.
So, and can I add something to that, please, Deidre?
Mhm.
So of course, right? So the demos were great. Like we had the Lab had they were able to show cells and they were able to show like cancer cells being targeted by cytotoxic T cells. That was exciting. We had one student actually walk the community organization through, like Deidre stated, through several steps of cloning and teaching them how cloning is done. That was really exciting to watch too. But obviously whatever demo's done is for the public. So we don't want to, nothing that involves open animals or anything that, that's too dangerous. So simple cell culture, safe experiments that the CBO members won't have to touch anything potentially dangerous or anything like that. But, simple, straightforward demos of the overall idea is what is best. And, most of us know how to do that pretty straightforwardly. And also it's important, another important part of this project that you're gonna go into the community with them too. Okay, has there been any interest in attracting volunteers among students from the community to be more involved in the research?
So I guess to answer that question in terms of volunteers, no, I don't think we really try to look for volunteers. We have other programs where we try to work with students, and I'm not sure what you mean by students, but we have other projects within the Cancer Center where we try to engage students in research. So we have a whole separate separate office that does things in terms of trying to recruit students to learn more about STEM, to learn more about scientists. We have summer programs for both undergraduates as well as high school students, where they try to bring students in to learn more about career as a researcher. So I would say as a cancer center, yes, we do a lot with students. We're always trying to find ways to get students involved and interested in science and in research, early, ideally we would have this wonderful pipeline of students to go through, but I think this is part of us helping to try to train the next generation of scientists. And so I hope I answered your question. Other questions?
And real quick, as far as going into the community, these are maybe what these are, and tell me if I'm right or wrong. We're seeing about anywhere from 4 to 6 events where the grad student is out of the lab all day, maybe 4 or 6 times a year, maybe, right?
Yeah, it depends on the group. It just depends on what they have going on. It's been really interesting to see both sides learning from each other.
Yeah, so it doesn't take a time away from the research. It won't take a lot of time. It'll just only enhance their training,
So this is another good question. How many will be funded this year? So last year we did 2 labs, and 2 community-based organizations. This year, we plan to do the same. And our goal ultimately is have been seeking fundings in order to be able to bring on more Hope leaders. And we hope that the application process is pretty straightforward in order to kind of help. We don't want it to be a burden, but if you think you want to learn more, engage more around community engagement in terms of your lab, we really would love for you to have the opportunity to do that and become a Hope leader. Other questions? But while we're waiting to see if we have any other questions, also, I think on your screen, if you do have questions, you can reach out to Dr. Yamile Molina. We call her Yami around here. Yami's contact information is listed here. I believe everybody should be able to see that. If not, I'll put it, I guess I could put it in the Q&A as well. Oh, no, I can't, but it is YMOLIN, the number 2 at uic.edu. So please reach out if you have questions after this. And we look forward to receiving all of your wonderful applications. Please note the deadline is April 30th, 2024. If you know someone that may be interested in applying, please encourage them to do so. They do not have to have attended the webinar, and the webinars will be available on our site. When you click that link, you'll be able to find the webinars there. Any other burning questions? But Hope Leaders has been a very, I think, rewarding program for both the community-based organizations as well as the scientists. And I hope you all take the opportunity to take advantage of this. Okay. So Joe, did you have anything else you want to say? Because if not,
No, I'll say thank you everyone for signing on, and we encourage everyone to please apply, and to remember the little comment at the bottom. All we really have is each other. So let's live that.
all right, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and please consider becoming a Hope Leader. Thanks, and have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye everyone.